The alien research fleet moved slowly through the dark edge of known space. There were no stars nearby, no planets, no traffic lanes. This region was empty and quiet, the kind of place most civilizations avoided. But the aliens were not afraid of silence. They believed silence meant safety. The fleet belonged to the Ketheri Union, a species proud of its knowledge and advanced science. They did not conquer worlds with brute force. They conquered with information. Every ship they studied became a weakness they could later exploit. That was why the signal appeared as a surprise. It was not a distress call. It was not a transmission. It was not even active. It was a shadow. A massive object floated ahead, barely visible against the black of space. The alien sensors picked it up only because it blocked distant starlight. The ship did not move. It did not glow. It did not react. Commander Velric stared at the holographic display. "A derelict?" one officer asked. "No debris field," another replied. "No damage signatures." The object was whole. Perfectly intact. The fleet slowed. Caution replaced curiosity. As the image sharpened, the alien crew saw its shape. The ship was angular and heavy, like a blade carved from dark metal. There were no elegant curves, no decorative lights, no exposed energy lines like alien ships usually had. Everything about it looked solid. Built to last. Built to endure. "This design is unfamiliar," Velric said calmly. "Identify origin." The scanners worked harder, sending waves of energy across the hull. Moments passed. Then silence turned into confusion. "No power leaks," the science officer said. "No heat signatures. No active shields." "Then it is dead," another officer said. The science officer hesitated. "I do not believe so." Velric tilted his head. "Explain." "The materials," the officer said. "They are dense. Layered. Too thick for a civilian vessel. And the internal structure," he paused. "It is arranged for damage control. Compartmentalized. Redundant. Redundant systems were expensive. Only military ships used them." "A warship," Velric said. The word carried weight. But still, the ship did nothing. No warnings. No movement. No reaction. "Run a deep scan," Velric ordered. The fleet moved closer. That was when the unease began. The closer they scanned, the less they understood. The ship's systems were quiet, but not inactive. Power was flowing at minimal levels, controlled and disciplined. Like a predator holding its breath. "This ship is not abandoned," the science officer said softly. "It is, waiting." Waiting for what? The hull markings were decoded next. Simple symbols. No complex alien script. No honor glyphs. Just clear, direct signs. A language database matched them. "Human," the officer said. The bridge went quiet. Humans were new to the galactic stage. A young species. Loud. Emotional. Known for stubborn resistance but limited technology. At least, that was the common belief. Velric studied the ship again. "So this is a human warship," he said. It did not match the stories. Human ships were supposed to be inefficient. Overheated. Poorly optimized. Built by instinct rather than logic. This ship looked nothing like that. It looked intentional. The scanners moved deeper, mapping internal systems. Weapons arrays appeared, hidden, layered beneath armor. Missile bays sealed tight. Energy cannons dormant but fully charged. The numbers appeared on the screen. And the numbers were wrong. "These weapon outputs exceed predicted human limits," the science officer said. "By a wide margin." Velric frowned. Recheck your data. I already did. Twice. The alien crew exchanged uneasy glances. This may be an experimental vessel, one officer suggested. Or, another said quietly, this is what they always build. The thought was unsettling. Still, Velrix remained calm. Continue analysis. Humans rely on aggression. We rely on understanding. The ship remained silent as they scanned it, as if allowing itself to be examined. As if it did not care. Deep inside the human warship, systems monitored the alien fleet. Threat assessments updated. Weapon timers stayed locked. No alarm sounded. The human crew slept. Or waited. Or watched. Outside, the alien fleet believed they were in control. They believed knowledge was power. They did not yet understand that this ship was not hiding. It was simply patient. And patience, the humans had learned long ago, was often more dangerous than fear. The alien fleet drifted closer to the silent human warship. Distance in space was safety, and the Ketheri had learned long ago never to cross it without reason. But curiosity was stronger than caution. Commander Velrix watched new data streams appear across the bridge. Begin internal analysis, he ordered. Thin scanning beams passed through the hull, bending around armor layers and dense materials. The process was slow. Too slow. The ship was resisting, not with shields, but with structure. This hull density is extreme, the science officer said. It is absorbing and dispersing energy naturally. Velrix folded his hands. Primitive solutions often hide clever intent. The scans continued. Power systems appeared first. The alien computers tried to map the energy core. They failed. Then they tried again. This is not a single reactor, the officer said, voice low. It is a network. Multiple power sources operating together. Why would a ship need that? An officer asked. The answer came on its own. If one fails, the science officer said, the others compensate instantly. No downtime. No vulnerability. Velrix stared at the display. Humans fear failure, he said slowly. So they removed the concept entirely. The bridge was quiet again. Next came propulsion. The human ship used engines that looked simple at first glance. No exotic spacetime folding. No elegant energy streams. Just raw force. But the calculations changed everything. These engines, the navigation officer said, confused, they are inefficient by our standards. Then why use them? Velrix asked. The officer hesitated. Because they keep working even when damaged. Even when partially destroyed. Silence followed. The scanners moved on to defensive systems. No active shields appeared. A ripple of relief passed through the bridge. Then they are vulnerable, an officer said. The science officer shook his head slowly. No. They rely on armor. Layer upon layer appeared on the display. Composite metals. Shock-absorbing structures. Internal voids designed to redirect explosions away from vital systems. This ship is built to be hit, the officer whispered. Velrix felt something unfamiliar stir inside him. Discomfort. Weapon systems came next. The alien computers stalled again. What is the problem? Velrix asked. The weapons are offline, the officer said. But they are fully charged. That is impossible, another said. Weapons consume power constantly. These do not, the science officer replied. They wait. The simulations finally loaded. Projected firing arcs appeared. Damage estimates followed. Then the bridge erupted in alarms, not from danger, but from system overload. Our models are breaking, the officer said. The output values exceed safe calculation limits. Velrix raised his hand. Simplify. The computer complied. A basic comparison appeared. One human warship versus one Ketheri cruiser. Result, mutual destruction. One human warship versus 3 cruisers. Result, human warship disabled. Ketheri fleet crippled. One human warship versus 5 cruisers. Result, human warship destroyed, after eliminating the entire fleet. The room went silent. That cannot be correct, an officer said. It is, the science officer replied. Their weapons are designed to trade damage. They expect to be hit. Velrix felt his confidence crack. Ketheri ships avoided damage. Their shields were sacred. Once shields failed, retreat followed. Humans had built something different. They had built a weapon that assumed pain. Commander, the science officer said quietly, this ship does not rely on superiority. It relies on endurance. Velrix exhaled slowly. Continue, he said. Internal systems revealed crew quarters near critical areas. Life support systems duplicated again and again. Manual controls everywhere. These designs favor survival under extreme stress, the officer said. Another pause. Commander, their systems allow operation even if most of the crew is lost. No one spoke. Outside the bridge, the silent human warship floated unchanged. No lights. No movement. No warning. It allowed itself to be scanned. Not because it was helpless. But because it did not feel threatened. Velrix finally understood what disturbed him most. This ship was not meant to win clean battles. It was meant to make every fight cost too much. And if this was only one human warship? He did not want to imagine a fleet. End active scans, Velrix ordered. The officers looked at him in surprise. Why stop now? One asked. Velrix kept his eyes on the dark shape ahead. Because, he said slowly, we have already learned enough to be afraid. And somewhere inside the human ship, systems continued to wait, silent, disciplined, and ready, just as they had been designed to do. The alien fleet pulled back to a safer distance, but the feeling on the bridge did not improve. Knowledge usually brought comfort to the Ketheri. This time, it brought weight. Commander Velrix stood near the central display, watching the image of the human warship rotate slowly. It is still doing nothing, an officer said. No reaction to our scans. Velrix nodded. That may be the reaction. The science team began the next phase of study. They stopped looking at systems and started looking at patterns. Humans were unpredictable, but patterns always told the truth. Search for doctrine data, Velrix ordered. Combat philosophy. Behavioral logic. The alien databases cross-referenced human history, intercepted signals, and scattered reports from border conflicts. What appeared was messy. Human records were filled with wars. Small wars. Large wars. Civil wars. Defensive wars. Wars fought over survival, resources, and pride. These beings fight often, an officer said. Yes, Velrix replied. And they keep surviving. The data revealed something strange. Humans did not design ships for perfect efficiency. They designed them for worst moments. They expect systems to fail, the science officer said. So they plan for it. Images of internal layouts filled the screen. If one corridor collapsed, another path existed. If power failed, manual overrides took over. If automation was destroyed, human hands replaced machines. They assume chaos, Velrix said quietly. A new file opened. Combat recordings. The aliens watched silent footage of human ships in battle. Explosions tore through hulls. Fires burned. Sections of ships were lost. Yet the ships kept fighting. They do not retreat when damaged, an officer said. They retreat when the mission is complete, Velrix corrected. That difference mattered. Another simulation played. Human captains made decisions that looked reckless. Charging into fire. Holding positions far longer than logic suggested. At first glance, this is irrational, the science officer said. But it works, Velrix said. The conclusion appeared on screen. Human combat doctrine prioritizes outcome over survival. That statement disturbed the bridge more than any weapon scan. The Ketheri avoided loss at all costs. Every ship was valuable. Every crew member irreplaceable. Humans accepted loss. Not because they were careless, but because they believed something was worth the price. The scans returned to the silent ship. This warship carries no external command uplink, the science officer said. It can operate alone. No guidance. No oversight. Velrix frowned. So the captain has full authority. Yes. Dangerous, Velrix said. For everyone. The ship's logs were partially decoded next. Most were encrypted, but fragments slipped through. Training records. Emergency drills. Repeated phrases. Hold the line. Buy time. Protect the fleet. These are not conquest terms, an officer said. These are defensive. Velrix shook his head. No. These are sacrifice terms. The bridge felt colder. Humans did not seek war for glory. They prepared for it because they believed war would come to them eventually. The final realization settled slowly. This ship is not designed to intimidate, Velrix said. It is designed to endure terror. One officer swallowed. Commander, if humans fight this way, how do they lose wars? Velrix did not answer immediately. He looked at the dark, silent warship again. They lose when they stop believing survival is enough, he said at last. The alien fleet detected a minor shift in the human ship's internal power distribution. No weapons armed. No engines ignited. Just awareness. The human warship had noticed them. The bridge stiffened. Are they activating? An officer asked. No, the science officer said. They are, observing. Velrix felt something heavy settle in his chest. Humans did not panic when studied. They waited. They watched. And when they acted, it was never without purpose. Maintain distance, Velrix ordered. No hostile moves. The fleet complied instantly. The human ship remained silent. But now, it no longer felt empty. It felt awake. And for the first time since encountering it, the Ketheri realized something chilling. This warship was not the edge of human power. It was the baseline. The Ketheri fleet no longer drifted with confidence. Every ship kept strict formation, engines ready, weapons locked but inactive. The silent human warship stayed at the center of their attention, like a dark star pulling thoughts toward it. Commander Velrix ordered one final test. Run full combat simulations, he said. No assumptions. No optimism. The bridge lights dimmed as processing power was diverted to prediction engines. The Ketheri trusted numbers. Numbers did not lie. The simulation began with standard doctrine. 5 Ketheri cruisers. 1 human warship. The fleet attacked at range. Precision strikes. Coordinated fire. Perfect timing. The human ship absorbed the first hits. Armor fractured. Systems failed. Sections of hull burned. But the ship did not break. It closed the distance. At closer range, the human weapons fired. The simulation ended. Outcome, total Ketheri loss. Human warship destroyed last. A second simulation ran. 10 cruisers. Better angles. Higher output. Faster response. The human ship lost engines early. Power dropped. Fires spread. Then secondary systems activated. The ship changed tactics. It rammed. The simulation ended again. Outcome, total Ketheri loss. Silence filled the bridge. Adjust variables, Velric said. The simulation shifted. Drone swarms. Electronic warfare. Shield disruption. The human ship adapted. It shut down vulnerable systems. Reduced its own signature. Used physical weapons instead of energy ones. They are fighting without elegance, an officer muttered. They are fighting to end the fight, Velrix replied. The final test simulated a full Ketheri task force. The result was different. The human warship was destroyed early. The bridge relaxed slightly. Then the secondary data appeared. Casualty projections. Fleet damage. Resource loss. The Ketheri fleet survived, but at unacceptable cost. Entire sectors would be left defenseless. Supply lines would collapse. Recovery would take generations. Velrix leaned forward. This is not victory, he said. This is ruin. The numbers did something unexpected. They stopped being abstract. They turned emotional. Fear did not come from defeat. It came from price. This ship ensures that no one wins, the science officer said quietly. Yes, Velrix replied. Except humans. The realization hit hard. Humans designed their warships not to dominate the battlefield, but to make war itself unbearable. Another officer spoke, voice low. Commander, this is only one ship. Velrix closed his eyes briefly. Yes, he said. And it was enough. The human warship's internal activity spiked again. Minimal. Controlled. But deliberate. They are aware of our simulations, the science officer said. How? Another officer asked. They are monitoring us, he replied. Not aggressively. Just, patiently. Velrix straightened. They want us to understand, he said. A strange thought followed. The human ship was teaching them. Not through words. Through existence. The Ketheri had always believed that intelligence ruled the galaxy. That superior planning ensured dominance. But humans had added something else. Resolve. The simulation screens shut down. No more numbers were needed. Velrix made his decision. Prepare withdrawal protocols, he ordered. The bridge froze. Commander, an officer asked. We have not been threatened. Velrix nodded. Exactly. The fleet slowly turned away from the human warship. No shots were fired. No warnings exchanged. As distance grew, the human ship remained still, as if it had never noticed them at all. But every Ketheri on the bridge knew the truth. They had been measured. And found wanting. Fear settled not because the humans attacked. But because they did not need to. The Ketheri fleet did not speak as it withdrew. No victory chance. No relief. Only quiet movement and heavy thought. The human warship faded into the distance, still silent, still watching, or so it felt. When the fleet returned to Ketheri space, an emergency signal was sent immediately. Priority, absolute. Audience, High Council of the Union. The High Council chamber filled within hours. Elder minds, military leaders, scientists, and planners gathered around a massive projection of the human warship. The image hovered at the center, dark and simple, yet somehow overwhelming. Commander Velrix stood alone before them. You encountered a single human vessel, one counselor said. And returned without contact. Explain. Velrix did not rush. He activated the data feed. Hull composition. Redundancy maps. Weapon outputs. Combat simulations. Silence replaced skepticism. These numbers are exaggerated, another counselor said. They are conservative, Velrix replied. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The ship was inactive, a military advisor said. It never threatened you. That is the threat, Velrix said calmly. The council watched the simulations. Again. And again. The cost became clear. This design guarantees mutual destruction, an elder said. Why would humans choose this? Velrix answered without hesitation. Because they do not believe survival is free, he said. They believe it must be earned. The council shifted uneasily. More data appeared. Human fleet estimates. Production capacity. Historical conflict records. The truth settled like weight. This was not their strongest ship, a scientist said quietly. No, Velrix replied. It was ordinary. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in generations, the Ketheri faced an enemy they could not outthink. Only endure. The debate began. Some argued for preemptive strikes. Others demanded isolation. A few suggested alliances. Velrix waited. Then he spoke again. Humans do not seek war, he said. But they do not fear it either. He displayed one final projection. A galactic map. Human territory sat near unstable regions. Conflict zones. Hostile neighbors. They evolved under pressure, Velrix said. War shaped them. The council realized something terrifying. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology. It was acceptance. They accepted loss. They accepted pain. They accepted the idea that survival was worth any cost. That mindset made negotiation dangerous, and war catastrophic. The High Council reached a rare unanimous decision. Avoid conflict with humanity at all costs. The directive was sent across Ketheri space. Then beyond it. Trading guilds. Exploration fleets. Military patrols. The message was clear. Do not provoke. Do not threaten. Do not test. Meanwhile, deep in space, the human warship continued its mission. Inside, the crew remained unaware of the panic they had caused. Systems hummed softly. Maintenance drones moved through corridors. A watch officer glanced at quiet sensor screens. Nothing out there, he said. The captain nodded. Good. The ship adjusted its course slightly. Another patrol. Another silent presence. Back in Ketheri space, fear spread not through screams or chaos, but through careful planning. Borders were reinforced. Routes changed. Diplomatic tones softened. Humanity became something new in the galactic mind. Not conquerors. Not saviors. But a line no one wished to cross. And all of it came from one silent ship. That never fired a single shot. The decision of the Ketheri High Council did not stay secret for long. Civilizations never kept fear quiet. It moved faster than ships, faster than messages, faster even than truth. Within weeks, the warning spread. Not as a threat. Not as a story. But as advice. Trade convoys changed routes near human space. Exploration fleets adjusted their charts. Military patrols increased distance without explanation. No one said the word human openly, but everyone understood. Something had changed. In neutral systems, diplomats spoke more carefully. In hidden councils, planners erased old invasion models. In war academies, instructors paused lessons and replaced them with new ones. Lesson 1, never assume humans will retreat. Lesson 2, never expect humans to fight clean. Lesson 3, if a human ship is present, the cost has already begun. The Ketheri Union sent a final message outward, short, cold, and direct. Avoid engagement. Observation only. No reasons were attached. None were needed. Far away, the human warship continued its patrol. It moved through dark space with quiet engines and steady purpose. To the crew, it was just another mission. Another long stretch of silence. Captain Reyes reviewed routine reports. Power levels stable. Sensors clear. Crew morale normal. Anything unusual, he asked. No, sir, the watch officer replied. Space is quiet. The captain nodded. It always is, until it isn't. He turned back to his console. The ship never learned how close it had come to becoming history's most expensive lesson. Across the galaxy, a smaller civilization detected faint human signals near its border. Panic followed. Emergency meetings. Raised defenses. Then restraint. They are passing through, one leader said. Let them pass. And they did. Human ships crossed borders without hostility. They made no demands. They did not posture. They simply existed. That existence was enough. The myth of human weakness faded quickly. In its place rose a new understanding. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were not the most advanced. They were the most prepared. Prepared to lose ships. Prepared to lose people. Prepared to keep fighting anyway. That truth reshaped the galaxy. Wars were postponed. Some were cancelled entirely. Alliances shifted, not toward power, but toward stability. Everyone began to measure conflict differently. Not by victory. But by survival. The Ketheri High Council archived the encounter under a single phrase. Strategic deterrence through existence. Commander Velrix returned to his duties, changed by the experience. He no longer believed knowledge alone ruled the stars. Resolve did. And humans had more of it than anyone else. One day, far from Ketheri space, a young species asked a simple question during a diplomatic summit. Why does no one challenge humanity? The room went quiet. An old envoy answered slowly. Because they do not promise to win, he said. They promise to make sure no one else does. The human warship finished its patrol cycle and turned toward home. No banners. No celebration. Just a silent return. Inside, the crew joked, rested, and prepared for the next assignment. They never knew that entire civilizations had stepped back because of them. They never knew that a war had been avoided. And that was the final truth the galaxy learned about humanity. Humans did not need to announce their power. They only needed to show they were willing to pay the price. And that made them terrifying.